Are you, are you ready, Kirk?
Ready to
Okay.
go.
With that, I'd like to call the Monday, August 3rd, 2026, regular Assembly member meeting to order. And with that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Lynn,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Here.
Member Martin,
Here.
Member Newman,
Excused.
Member Mucci,
Here.
Member Schwartz,
Here.
Member Valentine.
Here.
Thank you. With that, we have two people on Zoom. One member is excused and four of us here at the dais. And with that, I'm going to move on to the voluntary Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Moving on here, I have approval of the minutes. I have the regular assembly meeting minutes for July 20th, 26. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
With that, are there any changes? Okay. Hearing or seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the regular amendment assembly meeting minutes of July 20th, 2026?
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn.
Yes. With that, those minutes are approved unanimously. Moving on to amendments and approval of the meeting agenda tonight. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented?
So move. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any amendments? Okay. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the agenda as presented?
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn.
Yes. With that, the agenda is approved as presented. Tonight, I think there are four ordinances, public hearings on four ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance 2026-15, an ordinance of the Assembly of the Petersburg Borough, Alaska, amending Title III of the Petersburg Borough Code to establish nepotism standards for elected officials. Do I have anybody that would like to talk tonight to ordinance 2026-15? Please come forward, state your name and who you represent, and you have 5 minutes. Okay. There's nobody present in the assembly chamber. Is there anybody on Zoom?
No, there's no one.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on then to ordinance 2026-16. An ordinance amending the Petersburg Municipal Code to provide a senior sales tax exemption to qualified residents of the borough, 70 years of age or older. Do I have anybody that would like to talk to ordinance 2026-16? Again, is there anybody on Zoom?
There's no one.
All right. With that hearing is closed on ordinance 2026-16. Next ordinance is ordinance 2026-17. An ordinance of the Assembly of the Petersburg Borough, Alaska, establishing the Thomas Bay service area of the borough, providing for its governance and financing, and authorizing use of local improvement districts within the service area. Is there anybody that would like to talk to ordinance 2026-17? And again, is there anybody on Zoom?
No, there's no one.
Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing on ordinance 2026-17. Moving on, ordinance 2026-18, an ordinance amending chapters 4.13, 4.16, 4.20, 4.27, and 14.18 of the former City of Petersburg Code to account for borough formation. Is there anybody that would like to talk to this ordinance 2026-18? And again, is there anybody on Zoom?
No, there's no one.
Okay, with that, I've closed the public hearing on ordinance 2026-18. Tonight, there are no bid awards, And I'm going to move on to person to be heard related to tonight's agenda. Is there anybody in the audience or on Zoom that would like to talk about to items, persons to be related to tonight's agenda?
We do have Aaron Brown on the line. Aaron, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, Aaron, you're online and you have 5 minutes, and please proceed.
Yeah, hi, my name is Aaron Brown. I'm a professional land surveyor out of Anchorage, Alaska, Soldotna, Alaska. Skylark Park LLC hired me recently to do a preliminary boundary retracement for a subdivision that they're proposing there at Skylark. They entered into an, as you guys may be aware, they entered into an agreement with the Petersburg Borough for specific standards related to the subdivision, where they were going to deviate from standard borough code related to right-of-way width. Well, Skylark requested from me, I guess, a preliminary plat that would be less than the standard, I guess, the width that they agreed to in their contract with the Petersburg Borough, and that width is 33 feet rather than, or excuse me, 30 feet rather than a full 40 feet in right-of-way width. However, as a part of that, they wanted Skylark LLC, they wanted to dedicate 5 feet either side of the right-of-way as a slope easement to accommodate ditch lines and V ditches for the right of way. So in ending, they're requesting, I guess, an amendment to their agreement, which would allow, I guess, the Petersburg city manager to adjust the agreement to allow for a 30-foot right-of-way width instead of a 40-foot right-of-way width, under the contention that they would dedicate an additional 10 feet for slope, basically a slope easements. I guess the main reason they want to do this is so that they can generate additional square footage for development in the future related to Tract A. And they're going to have Skylark Park LLC is going to have some design challenges with regards to the slough, and then also some drainages that are near the existing trailer park.
Okay. Is there anything else, Aaron, that you would like to present on that?
I don't have anything else I would like to present, but I would like to state that I'm available to anyone who has any questions, comments, or suggestions. And another comment that I have is I really want to make this project a success for everybody involved, including the people in Petersburg.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony. And with that, is there anybody else on Zoom, Clerk, that on items related to tonight's agenda?
No, no one has their hand up.
Okay. And there's nobody in the audience. And with that, I'm going to move on then to persons to be heard unrelated to the agenda. Would anybody who would like to talk to items unrelated to agenda, please come forward, state your name and who you represent. With that,
I do have someone on Zoom.
okay.
Dave Beebe, I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, my name is David Beebe. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I'd like to begin my testimony quoting the French economic journalist Frédéric Bastiat of the 19th century. I quote, "When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men living together in society, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it." End quote. I've often wondered, how might the authorized runaway engines of unregulated capitalism and legalized bribery, consuming everything and everyone at all costs, start to stir concern among the locally elected representatives of Petersburg? On the one hand, the corporate winners win, of course, by dumping millions of dollars into the legislative races. That fuels the turning and churning wheels of progress and social policy. All this occurring on our national superhighway to living hell. And on the other hand, might their roadkill and maimed losers finally get noticed in the rearview mirror, at least by local elected representatives? What of the human virtues of empathy? Certainly not Bill Clinton's performative empathy and moral codes such as, quote, I feel your pain, after signing legislation similar to and including the Telecommunications Act of 1996. What if by some karmic coincidence, just four of you had been facing the sudden sighting of a cell tower on each of your property lines? How about that 150-foot steel monstrosity framed in your living room picture window or dining room or children's bedroom window? Would you still feel compelled to see absolutely no difference between a cell tower bristling with barbed wire fencing and menacing antennas, the same as a storage lot for seine skiffs and crab pots? How could you not conclude a mixed zoning ordinance might require such distinctions? Might then certain industrial applications be inappropriate in proximity to homes representing the single largest asset of taxpaying families' economic portfolio and childhood memories? Literally, hundreds of taxpaying borough residents are clearly on record, fully understanding if this could happen to friends and neighbors, it could happen to them. I know for certain each and every one of you are fundamentally good people. You are good people just as the random subjects of Yale University's Dr. Stanley Milgram's famous social psychology experiment were also good people. Milgram's experiment tested how far individuals would go in obeying an authority figure, even to the point of inflicting pain on others. It turns out 65% were perfectly willing to perform acts in contradiction to their moral consciences. We are now witnessing a corollary to that thought experiment in which planning and zoning commissioners themselves are personally facing such fates. They're likely realizing the system they exist within operates on laws with zero moral legitimacy. Laws prohibiting local government from applying the latest medical research on the siting of cell towers that were bought and paid for by oligarch titans of digital communication and information empires. This occurred by a federal agency refusal to abide court directives to update EMF safety emissions. Somehow, the assembly decided and assumed amongst themselves, without a motion, without public discussion, to preclude any judicial review. That is not within the ways in which highly consequential decisions should occur. Again, I quote Frederick Bastiat. When law and morality contradict each other, the citizen has the cruel alternative of either losing his moral sense or losing his respect for the law. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anybody else, Kirk, that is on Zoom?
No, there's no one.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'm going to move on then. Tonight, there are no board, commission, committee reports. There's nothing on the consent agenda. And I'm going to move on then to report of other officers. And the first item under there is the Petersburg Medical Center, PMC CEO Hofstetter will update the assembly on medical center activities. Mr. Hofstetter, you have the floor.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I submitted a report. It's in the packet. In addition to that, a few updates related to our services. Emergency room over the summer has been super busy, probably some of the highest volumes we've seen in a long time. In addition to our primary care, inpatient, and our home health have been very busy this summer. Second thing is direct primary care. I just want to make sure, just some notice that we went live with that. So it's a subscription-based primary care model. And it's available to community. It's unlimited number of primary care visits. It's a monthly membership cost of $120 per month for adults and $80 a month for kids, and provides some basic labs and most things that are covered in our primary care. So it's a way of looking at making primary care more affordable and getting people to come in who are underinsured and don't have insurance or have high deductibles. MRI update, been going great. We are really, we're almost at, we've almost seen maybe 40 scans since we went live in late June or early July. Strong utilization, a lot higher than we thought, and it's going really, really well. So really want to give kudos to our imaging department, Sonia and her team. RHTP, which is the Rural Health Transformation Program, we're just sort of no significant updates. We're on a holding pattern from the state. So as soon as I know, I'll relay that. Thank you for attending the work, for the community for attending the open house in July. Thank you for those members that went. It was excellent attendance and some good positive community feedback. From a specialty side, we have scopes in probably next round coming in September. And our dermatology clinic is coming soon. Optometry is occurring right now. And we do intend on adding an additional day on psychiatric telehealth. Dates to remember. Paddle Battle is this weekend on Saturday, August 8th. It's our annual fundraiser for PMC Foundation. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout and some good weather. 9:30 a.m. at Scal Bay. And we have it's a sign up, registration is on our website. A couple of things from the home health department. Next week, we have an adult day program open house, which is at the PIA building next Wednesday from 12 to 2 p.m. And there's just a meet and greet and to visit our staff. We have great program going up there. So it's just to get to know what's going on in that department. And lastly, our senior resource and planning session. So our patient navigator and Medicaid planner, Brandy Boggs, is doing that weekly. Anything related to local resources, Medicaid planning, future care needs, every Wednesday, 12 to 1 p.m. Contact Brandy Boggs at Home Health. The phone number, it's listed on our Facebook and our website, but it's 907-531-5857. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Any questions from Emily?
Thank you. Curious on this new thing you guys are doing, the subscription-based model here. Curious, just a couple questions. If somebody already has insurance, will that 100, whatever monthly subscription, does that take away from the deductible that the other deductible, like of their other insurance?
I wish. It is not an insurance plan, so we can't. It's a different plan altogether. It's through PMC, and that's guided by state regs.
Right, and then this kind of seems like it's aimed for people who don't have insurance, right? And then what if somebody had insurance? Myself, let's say I have insurance. Would it be beneficial for me to do both?
It can. Yeah, I'm actually very interested in it because number one, it's convenient. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible. So no co-pays. You're on the plan. You come in, you make an appointment. You're just seen, or you want to do follow-up. So there's a convenience factor for sure. If you do have even a high deductible, like even like $3,000 deductible or $5,000 deductible, I think it can make sense as well. And it's just to make things a lot more convenient and easier. So, as we grow the program, I'd love to be able to, offer that to, more families, like a family plan or something like that. So, getting some feedback on that. The idea is to provide, is not to make money, is to provide, using our existing staff and services to increase our utilization and really trying to get people to come in and see primary care. So trying to build off of that as much as possible. So with that, I would like to get some feedback from people. So if there's some ideas or, anything that we want to get some input on, happy to make some adjustments as we go forward. It's definitely a pilot program.
Pilot program that we're working on, and then with your subscription model, is there a hard line of what you can and cannot do?
Yes.
Okay, so it is, you could give a piece of paper to somebody that says, for $125 a month, this is what I can provide for you.
Yes. Yes.
And I think might have seen something.
There is,
Okay.
and I wish it was an easy to read. Our legal team had to put that together, so it's a
Okay.
little legalese, but we do have people, financial counselors and people ready to talk about that.
Mhm.
I'm willing to take the hit on some gray areas, like, for example, if we just don't want it to be, we just don't want it to fail. So if someone comes in and the doctor, put something or order something under that plan, we're just gonna, we'll just make sure it's, part of that or it's covered on that. So there's some learning to do
Right.
on that, but it's not covered, anything under the ER is not covered, anything under inpatient, then it triggers the insurance. And then, the law is, it has to be clear, it's not a insurance plan. So it's really kind of anything that's covered under primary care.
And it's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So that's why you're trying this out. And I agree with that. A lot of us up here understand that. What we don't know is what we don't know, right?
Okay.
Okay, and so where can the community find that piece of paper that says, for dummies like me, oh, I can get this, I can get that, I can do this?
Yeah, I mean, the clinic has all the information, so the
Okay.
primary care clinic, our business office also.
Mhm.
And then I think that on our website, we do have a number to call, and we'll try to get some, I'll try to validate that information is also on our Facebook. I'm not sure that level of detail is on there, but I will double check on that.
It just seems like if I were to, you hear about the program, but I'm already an insurance paying person.
Right.
Right, so it's like, how would it convince me? And then I'm assuming I'm not the only one in this position, and everyone kind of has to live in this position. This town is very family oriented, so we have probably a lot of people already on insurance. So it'd be interesting to see how that would benefit by doubling down,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, so then I can have a sheet that tells me, oh, hey, and then I could tell somebody else who then might be interested, who wants to ask this, but doesn't have the time to go to PMC. to do
Right.
so.
Right.
So, yeah, anyways, just the resource.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're asking those questions. I'm excited about the program. I think it'll take a little bit to get rolling, but once we do, we'll make some adjustments as
Yeah.
recommendations come through.
So
We can accommodate, yeah.
to get these answers, we're gonna go to the clinic or go to your website. Those are the
That's-
two places.
That's correct. Our business office also.
Business,
so,
okay, yeah.
So we have a business office, website, but the clinic is definitely primed and ready.
And is there a piece of paper that you give out, or no, is it more verbal?
There's advertisement on our Facebook, but let me see what I can find for you.
Okay. It's like, what, if I come in,
Yeah.
hey, Phil, what can you?
Oh,
give me?"
yeah.
know?
There is there's a cheat sheet and then there's
Okay,
the sort of
yeah.
the contract. Yeah.
Something you
Yeah,
give to the
subscription.
whoever comes in,
Right.
right? Got it,
Right.
okay. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Hofstadter? Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Okay, with that, I'm going to move on in. We have Petersburg School Superintendent Robin Taylor is going to provide a report on school district activities. Robin, it's
Right.
yours.
Good evening, everyone. We're not back in session yet, but it's coming really quickly. But during the summer months right now, we've had our contractors in the facilities working on our electronic security upgrades. So as a reminder, we've got the electronic access system coming in on our main entry doors, and then also on key interior doors that are used frequently, such as the gymnasium, the auditorium, a lot of the high school classrooms where we have teams that stay. So those will be areas that will all have the electronic door access. Along with that capital improvement project, we also have a district-wide intercom system being installed so that, you know, heaven forbid, should we have to go in a lockdown situation, the entire district can hear and know the situation we're in rather than just one building. So we are definitely looking forward to having that feature. And with that said, as the legislature closed its session and the governor didn't veto to the extent that we were anticipating might have happened, we have two projects in Petersburg that were funded through the Capital Improvement Project Major Maintenance List. One is the current pool sewer upgrade that's occurring. So those will be some funds back to the borough to help with other future projects in the tune of about $541,000. So that's good news. And then also the campus security upgrades that we did at Petersburg High School last summer. That was also on the list as being approved. So, you know, that's just funds rolling back that then we can set aside for additional future projects because they are never ending. And we're currently working on our 6-year CIP list that's due to the state September 1st. I wanted to just do a shout out of thanks for our partnership with the borough. We've been working extensively, especially this last week, with Carl, the technology guy. I don't know his last name, but the school district and the Parks and Rec share common technology with our HVAC system. And there have been some glitches, and Carl's been working extensively up there this past week with John, our tech guy, and I think they're coming up with some solutions to help some of the struggles that both entities are facing. So I appreciate that partnership, and also really want to give a huge kudos to Stephanie and the communication she's been providing the community, but also specifically the school district with the updates on the pool project. So we know how construction goes, and you know, definitely didn't head into the summer. We headed into the summer with hopes that we would see the pool up and running in time for school, but also with backup plans. And so Stephanie's done a really nice job of communicating updates with us, and we'll look forward to seeing the pool as soon as it's ready to go. With the close of the legislative session, we did receive more funding than we had budgeted for. As you know, we always tend to budget at that lowest level conservative number. And so with the funding coming in, we were able to bring some positions back that we had on our priority bring back list. A lot of them are support staff that we need. And we're also bringing back an additional teacher that we did get a commitment yesterday from them. So that position will be in the secondary building. So we look forward to our new staff coming on board. What else? We had a team attend the Visible Learning Conference. It's a national conference in Nashville just a few weeks ago. And through the grant, the professional development grant that we have, the Raising Bar for Alaska Schools, we were able to take 10 of us to this conference. And because of the work that we've been doing, we were invited to present at the conference. So Petersburg was able to share its story of our professional development learning journey the last 2 years. And I just want to give a specific shout out to Jamie Cabral. He's really stepping up for me. When I first arrived, I shared with him, you know how to be an activities director and you know how to be an assistant principal dean of students. Now I want to challenge you to increase your ability and really become an educational leader. And he is rising to that challenge for us. And so I've asked him to shoulder partner with me this year as we look at professional development and our direction for the whole district. So he helped really guide the presentation we did at that national conference. But then also we had Heidi, Alice Williams, Alice Kumps, Carrie, Dustin, Cindy, and then 2 of our new staff members that joined us. So it was nice to represent Petersburg and Alaska at that conference. Other exciting news, our school finance officer, Shannon Baird, was recently recognized as one of 17 individuals internationally through the school business officials with the Emerging Business Leaders Award.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's significant. She will be attending the national conference, and they'll have special sessions for those who were identified as emerging business leaders. So if you see her in the community, please be sure to congratulate her. She pours her heart and soul into that work that she does for us, and it's paying off. Finally, school starts on Tuesday, August 24th for 1st through 12th grade students. Kindergarten students start August 25th, and then preschool will start the following week. You can certainly check on Facebook, check on the website pcsd.us for any updates with the specific schools. So we're looking forward to getting the students back in action. And that's all I have.
Any questions from the assembly? I just want to thank Robin, and when I was in Juneau, the work that Robin and the staff have done on the deferred maintenance of had paid dividends for us. And what we did is we ended up, and Robin can talk to this better than I can, but we ended up getting, as Robin said, 2 projects on the list because the legislature funded $100 million for deferred maintenance. Of that, our 2 projects were high enough in that priority to be able to be funded. And with that, if the work hadn't been done and the projects put on that priority list, we'd still be in need. So thank everybody that helped do that. It makes a world of difference for the community. And with that, I'm going to move on then. We're in election season right now, and I'd like to give some attention to that. And with that, we have Clerk Regula will update the Assembly on the October 6th, 2026 election.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Lynn. So there's a written report in your packet, and I'm just going to go over some of the highlights, and then afterwards you can ask any questions that you might have. So as you said, the election day for our municipal election is on October 6th, on Tuesday, in the Parks and Rec Activity Room. And the state early voting is happening right now. So people have been calling, asking me about the state elections, and that is going on now. But our municipal election is not until October. And we will have, again, early voting beginning on September 16th, so a couple of weeks ahead of the election, downstairs in this building, in the municipal building. And people can also absentee vote by mail, or electronic voting is available for qualified voters. There are 23 positions on the ballot this year between assembly members and all of the boards. And the filing is open now. So if you're interested in getting your name on the ballot to run for any of these open seats, get your candidate packet, your candidacy packet at the front desk of the municipal building, or you can go online and print it out. You have until August 25th at 4:30 p.m. if you want to be on the ballot. After that, there's a small window for write-ins, and then that closes and the ballots will be printed. There are 3 ballot propositions. The first one is authorizing revenue bonds for the Scal-based standby generator project. Proposition 2, increase the maximum single transaction sales tax cap from $1,200 to $5,000. Proposition 3, establish an additional senior sales tax exemption for qualified residents 70 years of age and older. And again, the absentee voting applications, I have them in the racks outside the assembly chambers. You can get them online or come to the front desk and we'll get them to you, or I can email them to you as well. We have election workers training on Friday at 10 o'clock here in the assembly chambers. Thank you to everybody who stepped up. I've filled all the slots, and I even have backup election workers as well. So I always enjoy this time of year. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Any assembly members with questions? I have one for you. I was asked today if on the state election, if they've received ballots in the mail, could they in fact come in and also, rather than to mail them in, to vote?
Yes. If you have a mail-in ballot, you can bring it downstairs, and every day they're mailing ballots to Juneau. For every day after voting is done, they go to the post office and mail the ballots. So yeah, you could put your ballot in there and then save the postage, and it can just go with all the ballots.
Okay, but so they just used their ballot. That was a question was
Yes.
asked today. I couldn't answer it. They just used the
They can
ballot.
just use their
received to
ballot
bring
that they
that.
got, bring it in, and they are open from 11 to 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday for early voting. Yes.
Other questions? No, hearing none. I'm going to move on then. Oh, Member Mucci, do you have?
Yeah, it wasn't really a question, Mr. Mayor, but last year when I decided to run, Steve provided like a 2-page synopsis of issues facing the borough, which I found very, very informative, and it was really helpful. And going from being out in the street to sitting up here, it was very helpful. And yeah, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to the mayor's report. Community members interested in learning more about serving on the Borough Assembly or in other elected positions are invited to attend an informational meeting presented by the Borough Manager and Clerk. This session will provide an overview of the roles and responsibility of elected officials, as well as information about the candidacy and election process. The meeting will be held in the Assembly Chambers on Thursday, August 6th, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. For additional information, contact the clerk's office at 907-772-5405. Please consider serving your community by running for one of the seats up for election. For election information, visit www.petersburgak.gov, selected departments, and then Borough the Clerk. And please, if you're interested, I think that is a very informative session that the clerk and manager put on. And with that, I'll move on to the manager report.
Thank you, sir. Big thank you to Apex Refrigeration and Mattingly Electric for wrapping up the upgrades on our elderly housing walk-in cooler and freezer project. Assisted living successfully passed both the Alaska Housing Finance physical inspection of the facility in June and a surprise State of Alaska food establishment inspection in May. The library's 2026 Great Summer Challenge was the library's most successful summer reading program in recent years. A total of 170 children registered and 99 completed all 6 weeks, a 29% increase over last year and the highest 6-week completion total in the years compared. The program received record grant funding and community support with every program dollar spent locally. Thank you to our generous donors, community partners, and families for making this year's program such a success. Contractors and engineers have been steadily working on the Aquatic Center sewer repair, finding many pipes plugged and sheared off or broken during evacuation. They're now working on the men's locker room with continued cutting of concrete. That's the biggest thing. It's the most critical right now is to finish the cutting, because once we do that, we can start filling the pool back up. So we can't, as long as there's potential for hitting electric lines when we use the concrete saws, we don't want to turn the power back on or fill the pool up, because then we have issues with condensation. So we're getting closer. Hopefully, if they can get all the cuts done in the men's locker room, we can then, while they're doing the replacement of the sewer lines and stuff, we can actually start filling the pool and start getting it ready for use. And we're desperately trying to get that done before school starts. Continue to look for updates for either Petersburg Pilot, KFSK, Facebook, and around the facility itself. Parks and Rec would like to thank Joey Boggs in U.S. Forest Service, DOT, Petersburg Wrangell Insurance, Pat Blair at Wheelhouse Bikes, and Volunteer Fire Department and EMS for their assistance with the first annual Trekking Through the Tongass gravel bike race. They helped make it a great success. Scout Bay Generator 2 project is in contract amendment review with the borough lawyer and should be presented to the assembly soon. The new street lights and poles have been received and will be installed over the next few weeks. Steve Harbor's working with finalizing some of the ordinances from Carl that he was revising prior to his retirement. In addition, been moving a large commercial changes along to deal with any new big customers, consumers, ensuring our current customers are protected. Power and Light line crew and Frontier Tree have been clearing trees that are threatening contact with the lines. And Power and Light is taking advantage of our relationships built through SEPA to gain some training for our operators and mechanics as the opportunities arise. Recently, we had an opportunity to have our mechanics share the generator governor training in Ketchikan. Power and Light wants to remind the community to never dig without a dig permit. They are free and done quickly by Power and Light, Public Works, GCI, and AT&T. These can be set up on the website or at Public Works offices. This not only protects you physically, but also financially. Dust control work continues. The current supply of dust control products has been exhausted, but we have ordered additional that's expected this week. Public Works is scheduled to replace the planks on Singley Alley Bridge. I think that work's been mostly done. And the motor pool group has replaced the drag chain in the large sander and straightened this spinner chute. Sander unit still needs to be installed in the dump truck for testing and confirmation that the repairs are complete. Remaining sander work includes installing new wiring for the lights and backup alarms. We have it ready for the wintertime. Repairs to snow removal equipment damaged last winter are continuing. Considerable work remains before the equipment is ready for the upcoming season. And sanitation staff have focused primarily on rebuilding computer files following the restoration of our computer systems so customer billing can resume accurately. Apex Refrigeration was contacted to begin handling refrigerant recovery from refrigerators delivered to our facility. And staff is now coordinating directly with Republic Services for ordering empty shipping containers, a task that AML used to provide. Now we're going to have to take that on. New door hardware has been ordered for the Greens Camp vault toilets. Evidently, someone thought that would make a good target and put some holes in it. Blew out the lock and door hardware. So the municipal buildings air handlers are operational again following repairs to wiring issues. The remaining parts for the HVAC units have arrived and installation work has been scheduled. Hopefully we can keep this building more comfortable for our employees and visitors. Wastewater staff took advantage of the dry weather to grind most of the wood waste stockpile. The grinder performs better than when the material is dry. 2 RFPs have been released for wastewater disinfectant and industrial pretreatment studies with a closing date of August 17th. And over the last several weeks, water staff have remained busy with water deliveries, training a new operator, and performing breast control at the reservoirs. Water production is currently at a seasonal average of 1.3 million gallons per day. And the Banana Point Breakwater Improvement Project began last week, Wednesday the 29th. Western Dock and Bridge of Ketchikan is installing a new breakwater system that matches the original layout. Construction is expected to take approximately 2 to 3 weeks. And that's it, unless you have questions.
Member Mucci?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question about the big consumer ordinance that we're working on. That's not specifically targeting data centers, but is that part of that conversation with large electrical users?
Through the mayor. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. When Mr. Harbour started working on this, we started off as a data center ordinance and realized this would apply to any super large consumer user. So let's write an ordinance that not just deals with data center use of power, but also the other potential customers that could, New Canterbury, we don't know. But anyway, it's making it a little more complicated to write because it covers more territory, but I think he's making really good headway on it.
Great. And the other one,
Valentine?
No, you got it.
just the other one I had, Mr. Mayor. So the Banana Point Breakwater Improvement Project, that's a two-phase project. One is the saltwater part, and the other is the upland part.
Through the mayor. So we got actually 2 grants for Banana Point, one from Denali, and that's for the breakwater only. We also got another $2 million from Senator Murkowski and Representative Begich to do upland work as well as potentially a boarding float. We have not yet gotten confirmation that that money is on its way, and there's some concern over, what the grant administrator will allow us to use it for and what we want to use it for. We really won't know that until a grant administrator is actually assigned to us, and then we'll go through that process of listing out, we'd like to do these things. Is that going to be okay?
Great, thank you.
Member Valentine?
I'm going to follow up with you on that one, and then I have another question. But would that 2 million be transferable to maybe like a Papke's thing if we happen to end up owning that?
So through the mayor. So actually, Papke's were very close to owning the dock and the tidelands.
Right.
The uplands is still a ways off. So just to answer the Papke's question. Likely we cannot transfer the money from Banana Point to Papke's. One of the reasons that project scored so high was because of the interaction with Wrangell. As the back and forth that goes on between Wrangell and Petersburg at Banana Point and the schools. So it scored really well from Senator Murkowski's perspective. So she pushed that project pretty hard for us. So it would not be appropriate for us to try to move that to Papke's.
Yeah, I got 2 million. Let's move it. Okay, sweet, thanks. And then I had to just purely just out of curiosity here, the Singley Alley Bridge. I don't know if it's you or Aaron, but
Probably Aaron.
yeah, just curious. Like over the years, we replaced plank after plank after plank after plank, and just over time, like, do we? Not to scare anybody, but is the foundation, the actual bridge itself, still doing okay as we continue to move planks up and down, up and down, up and down? Like or is this like a 20-year thing, 30-year thing, longer, please?
The bridge itself is inspected and certified by the state every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
So the question, is it safe? The answer is yes. What you see is what we're trying to do is replace the decking as they wear out so that we can spread the expense out over time instead of in one big project like we have in the past.
But the pilings themselves are doing okay, even though you're
Absolutely.
continuing to like put in nails at the top. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So okay. I was just curious on that. Yeah. Thank you.
The manager had a follow-up on that. You were.
No, I mean, on the Singley Alley Bridge, at some point, we're gonna have to do a full rebuild of it. There's no question. We it's on our capital project list. Aaron in Public Works does a great job replacing broken things and keeping it functional. He's right about the inspection. That's a big deal. If we fail one of those inspections, we can't get garbage trucks and fuel deliveries to like Sons of Norway. So, I mean, it's a big deal to keep it in good shape. And we're doing what we can. The easiest way to do it would be to replace the bridge with something not wooden, but it's basically a local landmark, and I don't think that would go over well. So we continue to work on keeping it a wooden bridge and doing what we need to do to keep it safe for people. And we'll keep working toward bigger money that could do a big or more major retrofit, but we're not there yet.
Thank you. Member Mucci?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Member Valentine mentioned it about the Papke's ownership. So once we get the land out at Papke's, who's in charge of the trailers and the cars and all that stuff that's out there? Not to be called junk, but all the stuff.
Through the mayor. In some cases, I will be happy to call it junk, but not in every case. So we have an agreement with DNR, who owns the uplands now, that allows the borough to go out there and do some policing of vehicles and trailers and junk. So we're allowed to do that now. We don't really have the staff for it, so we're not out there every week. We try to do a kind of a run through at the beginning of the season. And then if we have time, get out there, a second time during the season. And what we're trying to identify there is basically stuff that's been abandoned or looks like it's abandoned. In a perfect world, someday we'll be able to develop the uplands. The borough owns 3 lots out there. We're trying to get the uplands at Papke's, and then do the work to build more parking, storage areas for the lodges, and then an ability to charge them for that. We're not there yet. It's really, we're trying to work with some of our local contractors to get a quote on replacing the float out there, what that would cost us. That'll have to come back to the assembly. It's going to be way above my spending level. And at some point, the assembly is going to have that conversation. How much money do you want to spend? Where do you want to take it from? And how do we want to approach that? We're not ready for that question yet, but we're getting there.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
thank you. Well, I'm going to move on then to unfinished business. Unfinished business, ordinance 2026-15. An ordinance of the Assembly of the Petersburg Borough, Alaska, amending Title III of the Petersburg Borough Code to establish nepotism standards for elected officials. If approved in 3 readings, and this is the second reading, this ordinance will amend Title III of the Petersburg Borough Code to establish nepotism standards for elected officials as required by the Borough Charter. The ordinance creates a disclosure and recusal requirements when an elected official's family member has a substantial financial interest in a matter before the borough and prohibits participation in certain employment-related decisions involving family members. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-15?
So move.
Second.
Moved by member Mucci, seconded by member Valentine. Any discussion by assembly members? Okay, hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on 2026-15?
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger.
Yes.
Okay. An ordinance 2026-15 passes unanimously on its second reading. Ordinance 2026-16, an ordinance amending the Petersburg Municipal Code to provide a senior sales tax exemption to qualified residents of the borough 70 years of age or older. This is the second reading. The borough has received and certified an initiative petition proposing a senior sales tax exemption for qualified borough residents 70 years of age and older pursuant to PMC 2.44.080. This ordinance is being presented to the Assembly for its consideration. Adoption of this ordinance would not affect the existing senior sales tax exemption available to qualified borough residents age 65 and older who participate in the Alaska Senior Benefits Program. Those residents would remain eligible for the current exemption. The proposed ordinance would create an additional exemption for qualified borough residents age 70 and older. If the Assembly adopts a substantially similar measure, the initiative petition is void and the initiated matter is not put on the ballot. However, because this ordinance would create a sales tax exemption, it would still require voter ratification under Borough Charter Section 12.02B. If this ordinance is not adopted, the initiative matter will be submitted to the voters. Ordinance 2026-16 was unanimously approved in its first reading. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-16?
So moved.
So hearing not a second on this, the ordinance 2026-16 fails, but it will still be an initiative before the voters as required by charter. And what I want to also add is that if this passes, this affects approximately, I lost my notes here. It's a little over 300, the effect is a little over 300,000 and 300, I believe, and some odd people that could apply for this. So with this, I want to reiterate that this will be on the ballot as the clerk talked earlier. And with that, I'm going to move on. Ordinance 2026-17, an ordinance of the Assembly of the Petersburg Borough, Alaska, establishing the Thomas Bay service area of the borough, providing for its governance and financing, and authorizing use of local improvement districts within the service area. This is the second reading. If approved in three readings, ordinance 2026-17 establishes the Thomas Bay service area within the Petersburg Borough and creates a new chapter in the Borough Code defining its boundaries, services, and financing. The service area would include all property within ASLS 81-235, excluding the federally owned parcel, and would authorize the provision of services such as fire and EMS, police, road construction and maintenance, and parks and recreation. The ordinance does not mandate a specific level of service. The level and form of service, if any, will be determined subsequently by the Assembly through the annual budgeting process. Because no voters currently reside within the proposed service area, its creation is based on the consent of the borough and the state of Alaska as the sole property owners within the area. Memo from Director Cabrera, a letter of consent from DNR, and a map of the area are attached to this agenda item. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-17?
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Member Mucci, seconded by Member Valentine. Discussion on this. Member Mucci.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if we pass this in the third reading, and since there are no voters that reside in the proposed service area, what's next with that, with this process? Do we start laying out lots for sale, or what's the next process?
I'm going to direct that to Director Cabrera back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The area is already subdivided, so we actually don't have to lay out lots. It's already a approved subdivision that was created by the state of Alaska, I think in the 1970s. So we could do as the assembly wishes. We could prepare to sell property out there. I think it'd probably be wise to first take a look and see if there are certain lots that maybe the borough would like to retain for future access to waterfront areas, maybe for future areas where we might stage some EMS equipment and things like that. And once we've got that established, then maybe there's some areas that we would be looking more for industrial development versus purely residential development, not necessarily zoning, but just sort of guidance. And then, yeah, we could start actually disposing of property out there.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Other questions from assembly members? Clerk, please call the roll on 2026-17.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Schwartz, Member Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger.
Yes.
thank you. And ordinance 2026-17 passes unanimously. Moving on, ordinance 2026-18, an ordinance amending chapters 4.13, 4.16, 4.20, 4.27, and 14.18 of the former City of Petersburg Code to account for borough formation. This is the second reading. If approved in three readings, this ordinance will update the Petersburg Municipal Code by removing outdated provisions, consolidating utility extension requirements, including into a single chapter, and updating Cabin Creek Road use fees. The changes are intended to modernize code language, clarify utility extension procedures, and better reflect current borough operations and costs. Ordinance 2026-18 was unanimously approved in its first reading. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-18?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Member Mucci, seconded by Member Schwartz. Discussion.
Mayor?
Member Mucci.
Yeah, I'd like to propose an amendment for this. I move to amend section 5, the effective date of ordinance number 2026-18 to read. And this will be at the end of, obviously, of section 5. It's on page 50 under the effective date. And it's regards to this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon final passage. And the wording would be, however, the provisions of former section 1418.040 cost participation and extensions shall continue to apply to an extension completed after August 2nd, 2021, and prior to the effective date of this ordinance for a period of 5 years from the date of completion to the extension.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Discussion? Member Mucci, but I'm going to go back and ask our utility director exactly the intent of the amendment.
Thanks, through the mayor. So there is probably 6 or 7 people who entered into that agreement for a line extension under the old city ordinance with the belief that they were going to be protected for the next 5 years. And we feel that we should honor that commitment from that previous ordinance.
Thank you. Any questions from assembly members? Would the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Valentine.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment passes unanimously. And now I'll go back to the main motion as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll on the main motion as amended?
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Meucci.
Yes.
Okay, and that passes unanimously on a second reading. Moving on to the we have a land purchase application that was postponed from the July 20th, 26 meeting. The borough has received an application from Brian Newman to purchase borough-owned property at 1205 Lake Street. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 9th, 2026, as required by PMC 16.12.080, and recommended approval of the sale of the property. The assessed value of the property is $15,000. The Planning Commission's report is attached to this agenda item. During this meeting, the Assembly shall determine whether the application shall move forward in the application process or be denied. If the application is to be moved forward, the Assembly shall schedule a public sale or exempt the application and disposal from public sale. If public sale, the Assembly shall determine if the sale shall be by outcry auction or sealed bid and shall choose a date time for the sale. If exempted from public sale, the Assembly shall establish the alternative method, terms, and conditions of disposal. Do I have a motion with, I would prefer it with the details of how the Assembly would like to move forward.
I move to move this with a direct sale to Brian Newman and his, trying to buy this piece of property.
Do you want to go with propose a date or anything, or do you want to leave it open?
Like when it needs to close by? Right.
Sure.
Would it be okay or appropriate for the assembly to, give that up to the staff to coordinate that with Brian Newman?
And I would not want to set a date, no.
Would you like to include that to allow the staff?
To allow the staff to set that date in a direct sale, not through me.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. It was moved by Member Valentine, second by Member Schwartz. Discussion. Would the clerk please call the roll on the sale of the property to Brian Newman?
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Meucci,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Valentine.
Yes.
The sale of the property to Brian Newman passes unanimously. Now, moving on then, as part of this, which is also postponed from the July 20th, 26 meeting, is a special use permit for the Lake Street right-of-way. If approved, this special use permit will allow Brian Newman to use a portion of the undeveloped Lake Street right-of-way for access to 1205 Lake Street. The Planning Commission recommend approval contingent upon conveyance of the property to the applicant. If someone other than Mr. Newman purchases the property, the new owner would need to submit an application for a special use permit to access this lot. Do I have a motion to approve a special use permit for Mr. Newman?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Member Schwartz, seconded by Member Valentine. Discussion. Okay, would the clerk please call the roll on issuing of a special use permit to Mr. Newman?
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Meucci,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
The approval of a special use permit to Mr. Newman was approved unanimously. Moving on to new business. Resolution 2026-22, a resolution approving the sole source procurement advanced metering infrastructure equipment from Eaton in the amount of $372,035.62. approving the use of the DOE grant funds provided through the Petersburg Indian Association and Power and Light Capital Funds, and authorizing the borough manager to execute all necessary purchase documents. If approved, this resolution will authorize the purchase of the equipment needed to complete the borough's AMI deployment project. Utility Director Harbor has provided a memo with more information which is attached to this agenda item. And there is a suggested motion, I think, in the packet that I would ask somebody to present.
Okay, I move to approve resolution number 2026-22, authorizing the sole source procurement of advanced metering infrastructure equipment from the Eaton in an amount not to exceed $372,035.62, approving the use of DOE grant funds and the Power and Light Capital Funds, and authorizing the borough manager to execute all necessary purchase documents.
I'll second that.
Okay, and motion made by Member Valentine, I believe Member Mucci was seconded.
Yep.
With that discussion, what I'm going to do is ask our utility director to give us a brief explanation of what this is. And again, I would also thank the Petersburg Indian Association for helping provide funds to do this.
Thank you through the mayor. And Power and Light would also like to thank PIA for their support in this. So I'm not sure, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, the department moved to the new digital AMI meters. And our decision was to go with this particular brand through Eaton. And right now we have over 1,000 of approximately 3,000 meters already converted over to these. So going anywhere other than Eaton would set us back and have to replace those other 1,000 meters, which would be about $200,000. That's why the sole sourcing here. The biggest advantage, I mean, there's a ton of advantages with going this way. The biggest advantage is the remaining meters are very old, electromechanical, meaning a magnetic field spins the disc, and that disc is riding on bearings and gears, and they wear out and under-report a lot. And my own personal experience, when I had mine changed, I found out it was under-reporting by about 50%. So that lost revenue is passed on to people whose meters read right, and we have to recoup it by increasing our revenue rates. So this is it's gonna spread out the cost fairly to everybody. They're gonna pay for what they use and not have to pay a rate increase to cover somebody whose meter is under-reporting. And then on top of that, it lets us know where there's problems ahead of time. I can look at the computer in the morning and see that there's an area that has low voltage. Here in the last 6 months, they're right down the street here. I can't remember the people's names, but there's like 6 or 7 meters that were getting really low voltage. And over time, that would have had a negative impact on their equipment and probably would have resulted in an outage that we would have had to fix in the middle of the night. And down the road, just past Glenn Reed's old house, same thing. Saw that there was bad voltage, and we were able to fix that on normal operating times. And eventually, this is just one part of a big strategy. First, we get this in, then we get some smart software to help us tell us what's going on. And then we tie that into the automated messaging for our customers to let them know that there's an issue in their neighborhood. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Member Mucci?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. But this also gives us the ability to not have to visit every meter every month.
Not every electric meter, but we'd still have to read the water meters, which is up to what, about 4.5 mile, Aaron? Yeah, about that. But it would knock out all the Papke's area that we wouldn't have to send Joe out there to read. We don't anticipate a reduction in headcount because as this is going on, we're doing more and more stuff that Joe's taken over, our GIS mapping, does all our AutoCAD drawings, and he is instrumental in the operation of our equipment when needed. But we probably have to look to Public Works for some compensation to keep Joe reading the water meters, which is probably the most financial viable option for Public Works.
Member Mucci?
Yeah, do those water meters, do they have the same technology for measuring water?
They do, and Aaron might know more about the cons to it, but they're expensive in the way that a lot of meters are installed in the borough through the past. Wouldn't make it very practical at this time unless you got a giant grant.
Thank you.
Other questions for Utility Director? All right, would the clerk please call the roll?
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that, the approval to purchase the Eaton meters is approved unanimously. And with that, well, again, I want to thank the PIA for their help to get the funds to do this. This will have a significant savings, I think, for the borough in the long run. Moving on, approval of a contract amendment for Scow Bay Generator Number 2 project, Phase 2, Part A. Assembly approval is requested for a contract amendment with Dawson Construction LLC for Phase 2, Part A of the Scow Bay Generator Number 2 project. The amendment establishes a guaranteed maximum price of $1,492,844 for construction of the generator building, foundation, concrete work, and installation of major owner furnished equipment. Funding is currently available for this phase, which will protect the borough's existing investment, maintain project momentum, and secure current construction pricing while financing for the remaining project work moves forward. A memo from Utility Director Harbor is attached. And I have on the page, there is a suggested motion, if I could get an assembly member to make it.
I move to approve the contract amendment with Dawson Construction LLC for Phase 2, Part A of the Scow Bay Generator Number 2 project, establishing a guaranteed maximum price of $1,492,844.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Member Valentine, seconded by Member Mucci. Questions from assembly members or discussion? With that, I have a question for our utility director. Did we not put some concrete work in place out there earlier?
So we put the foundation that goes underneath the generator itself. It's about a 2-foot thick pad, just slightly larger than the generator itself. We needed to do that in order to move the generator in a position where we could protect it for the winter while it was sitting there. So this concrete work would be the rest of the foundation for the building and the slab for the building. The foundation and slab for the exhaust system, for the radiator system, for the new 11K transformer.
So, and we have the generator we purchased is on site.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll on the approval of a contract amendment for Scow Bay Generator Number 2 project?
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Greger,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
And the approval of contract amendment for Scow Bay Generator Number 2 project was approved unanimously. Moving on, the Skylark Development Agreement Amendment. Skylark LLC has requested relief from the development agreement's 40-foot right-of-way requirement for certain road segments with the proposed subdivision. Rather than platting a full 40-foot right-of-way throughout, the developer is proposing a 30 to 33-foot right-of-way supplemented by slope easements on the adjoining lots, which would achieve the functional equivalent of a 40-foot width. Borough Public Works and Petersburg Municipal Power and Light have reviewed the proposal and have no objection to the reduced right-of-way widths as proposed. The preliminary plat, a letter from Mr. Aaron Brown, who is the surveyor for the project, and the original conveyance agreement are attached to this agenda item. And you heard earlier Mr. Aaron's thoughts on the change. And with that, I have on here a suggested motion. Would Assembly member like to make a suggested motion to approve the agreement change? Ms. Member Mucci.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to authorize the borough manager to execute an amendment to section 5B I of the development agreement dated October 31st, 2025 between the Petersburg Borough and Skylark LLC in a form approved by the borough attorney, clarifying the 40-foot right-of-way width requirement is subject to the Planning Commission's existing authority to grant a platting variance under Borough Code.
Second.
Been moved by Member Mucci, seconded by Member Schwartz. With that, I'm going to go back to Director Cabrera here and for public, for understanding purposes of what this does and what effect then it has on the borough and what our original agreement.
Let's see. In October of 2025, the Assembly approved a development agreement with Skylark. And it was a conveyance agreement and a development agreement. So the borough agreed to sell property at less than assessed value. And then the developers, Skylark, agreed to develop this property in a certain manner. And in that agreement, it had certain standards like meeting our existing road standards, such as a 40-foot right-of-way, 28-foot wide road, dug down to hard pan. So all of those were established, in essence, in a contract. And so now Skylark is bringing forward a proposed plat for that subdivision that meets most of those requirements, but does not meet the requirement for the 40-foot right-of-way. And so they're asking for a variance from that standard. While the Planning Commission has authority to grant a variance, it doesn't have authority to grant a variance from the contract that you as the Assembly entered into. And so all this motion does is basically eliminate the contract language so that the Planning Commission could, under its own authority, consider a variance from the platting standard. That's what's before you. The practical effect, I think, I don't want to speak for Public Works and Power and Light, but I think they don't anticipate any issue in terms of the road prism because it's still going to be the same size, still has to be built down to, dug out to hard pan. So they really didn't have any objection. I would say we haven't granted many platting variances, but that question is really to the Planning Commission, not really before you, right? Even though you might approve this, it still has to go through the Planning Commission and they're going to apply the platting variance criteria to the issue. So it still has another step to go through.
Any questions for utility or for Director Cabrera?
Oh,
Okay, Member.
I don't know
Member
who it's
Valentine.
going to be directed to, but I have a kind of a hard time in my head seeing what the difference between 40 and 30 is. Can you guys somebody give me an example of what like the 30-foot road might look like in the town compared to the 40?
It's really not necessarily the road. It's basically 40 feet that is dedicated for use by the borough for the right-of-way. And so it's going to include the ditches and everything else. So the part that actually is going to be public road instead of being 40 feet, and usually our roads are not that wide, but the actual public part of it, you know, where we have our poles and everything,
Oh.
is usually 40 or 50
Yeah.
feet.
Okay.
So the road sits inside of that. And so it'll be narrower. And so then when you have ditches and slopes and things, that'll actually be on private property, not on the dedicated part of the right of way.
Roger. Okay, thank you. I needed that clarification.
Okay. Hopefully that painted a
Yeah, it
picture.
did. Yeah, that helped. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Mayor Lynn, Member Stanton Gregor,
okay,
like to speak.
yep. Member Stan Gregor? You have a
Thank you,
question?
Mayor. No comment, no question, just a comment. In spite of the Planning Commission's approval, I'll be voting for this. I think hearing from the Utility Director and the Public Works Director, I think this is a very reasonable accommodation we as an assembly can make to help promote, get this project moving along to get more affordable housing in our community. So I'll be voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from assembly members? Okay, hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the Skylark Development Agreement Amendment?
Member Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Mucci,
Yes.
Mayor Lynn,
Yes.
Member Valentine,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanton Gregor,
Yes.
Member Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. And that, and the amendment, the agreement amendment passes unanimously. Moving on, the communications. There's communications are included in this packet that were received since July 16th, 2026. And I'll move on now to assembly discussion items. There are none on it for the night. And now moving into assembly member comments. Do any assembly member have comments? Member Valentine.
I guess it's a question that what I'd like to ask, but this is directed to, I guess, Public Works Director, Mr. Morrell. Curious just if you could tell us briefly, like where we are with it's bear season, you know, where we got some bears coming in, and I know we're gonna get people coming in and talking about it. And so I'm just curious what happened when you reached out to the people who said they were gonna buy us some cans.
Through the mayor. Mr. Valentine, thank you for the question. Last year, we were contacted by an organization, Friends of the Wildlife,
Right, them, thank you.
who advised us of a potential grant that the borough could receive for purchasing bear-resistant cans. Working with Chief Kerr, we took a look at different neighborhoods that were the hardest hit in the community. We came up with a number of cans that would be helpful for our goals. That number was 300 cans. With the price of those cans without shipping, the total came to approximately $100,000. When I approached Friends of the Wildlife with that number, they obviously couldn't help us with that number. As a matter of fact, they couldn't come up with a substantial grant amount that would enable us to purchase a number of cans that would make a difference. I then replied to them that one way that they could help us is through the purchase of these bear straps that you guys have probably seen in town. And I haven't heard back from them on that request. But that would be a lot more economically feasible for them and provide a bigger impact to the borough if they could assist us with those straps.
Okay, so as bear season comes along, thank you for that. That's what I'm sure many people are going to be asking, where that was, what happened there. As we move into the bear season and they're cruising into town, what is the best way for the public at this time to maybe get those straps if they're worried? Like, do they just go up to the dump, or where do they go to grab this if they want them added? Is it free of charge? Do they bring the can to you? How does it work so that the community knows this is kind of our only option at the moment?
Sure, yeah, I appreciate that question. The straps, the best place to get it would be from the Public Works office. The Baylor does have a limited number of straps, but we have more of them at the Public Works office. And those are available to any resident that has a trash account with us at no charge.
Cool.
Member Meucci?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the bear straps, I don't know how they work, but they take about 15 minutes to put on. I've put on 3 for some of my family members, and it doesn't take very much time. It's just, they go on pretty quick. And I haven't had any bear issues, but
Whether it works or not, it's one step
Yes.
maybe in a direction.
100%.
So, thank you.
Other comments from assembly members? Are there any recognitions from assembly members? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
you know.
Yeah.